You ever see one of those investment opportunities that just seems magical? An offer so unbelievably good, it promises to completely change your life in just a few months? Well, today we're going to tear one of those down. We're looking at a company called BG Wealth Sharing to figure out if their incredible offer was a golden ticket or just a really well-disguised trap. I mean, just look at these numbers. This is the promise that got everybody's attention. $1,000 turning into over $1.1 million in just 18 months. That's not just a good investment, that's life-changing money. And when you see something like this, you have to ask yourself, right? Is this some kind of revolution in investing, or is something else going on here?
So the company at the heart of all this is BG Wealth Sharing. It was supposedly started by a guy they called Professor Stephen Beard, an alleged Canadian national. And their pitch to potential investors was really compelling. It sounded sophisticated, and it was very, very specific.
And their strategy was pretty smart. They went after the general public, but they really honed in on overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs. And to make people feel safe, they claimed the business had already been running successfully overseas since 2022. That suggested it was this stable, proven international company that was just now coming to the Philippines.
Okay, so here's the hook. The absolute core of their promise was this simple, powerful number, a 1.3% return every single day from something they called crypto copy trading. And that return was compounded, which is the math that powered those small daily gains into the crazy high numbers we saw a second ago.
Right, so how on earth were they supposedly pulling this off? Well, their model had two sides to it. The official process they showed everyone, and then the real engine that was actually making the money move. On the face of it, it looked totally legit, right? Super high-tech. Investors were just told to copy a code from a chat group, paste it into this trading platform called the DSJ Exchange, and hit confirm. It seems simple enough. And yeah, it created this perfect illusion that real profitable trading was actually happening. But behind that shiny tech stuff, this is where the real money machine was. They gave it a fancy name, the Power of Duplication and Replication. But let's be real, it's a classic pyramid structure. Members were pushed to recruit 5 new people, who then had to get 5 of their own, and on it goes. This recruitment, not some fancy trading algorithm, is where the cash was really coming from.
Now, an offer this huge, growing this fast, it's going to get noticed by the authorities. And it did. The Securities and Exchange Commission of the Philippines opened an investigation. And boy, what they found changed the whole story.
And we're not talking about some online rumor here. The SEC, that's the official government body that oversees this stuff, they put out an official public warning about BG Wealth Sharing. And this is where things get really, really serious.
And here it is, the knockout punch from the SEC. They didn't mince words. BG Wealth Sharing was not registered with the commission. What that means is they had zero legal right, none, to be asking for or taking investment money from anybody. Full stop. But the SEC didn't just stop there. Oh no, they took the company's whole business model apart, piece by piece, and they gave it a very specific and very illegal name. Let's dig into what they found.
So first things first, the SEC had to define what BG Wealth was even selling. And it's this thing called an investment contract. Basically, anytime you give money to a group expecting to make a profit from their work, not your own work, that's a security. And all securities have to be registered by law. And you know what the SEC called BG Wealth's little investment contract? A classic Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme isn't a real investment at all. It's just a shuffle game. It takes cash from new investors to pay profits to the earlier ones. It's a house of cards, and the math just doesn't lie. It's built to collapse.
So, let's look at the checklist for a Ponzi scheme. Does BG Wealth Sharing fit? Oh yeah. Insanely high returns? Check. Using new money to pay old investors? You bet. Check. A system designed to benefit the first people in and the best recruiters? Check. And a system that's just guaranteed to implode and leave the last people in with empty pockets? Absolutely. A definite check.
And listen, this is a really important point. It's not just that BG Wealth, forgot to file some paperwork. The SEC is saying a Ponzi scheme is illegal at its very core. So you can't register it. It's unregisterable. There's no legal way to run a business like this.
So what about the people pushing this thing? What happens to them? Well, the SEC warning lays out some pretty scary consequences, and it's not just the founders who are on the hook.
Yeah, the list of people who can get in trouble here is surprisingly long. It's not just the people at the top. It's anyone who acts as a promoter, a recruiter, an upline. We're even talking about social media influencers who promoted it.
Pretty much, if you convince someone to invest, you could be facing criminal charges.
And the penalties? They are no joke. If you break the securities regulation code, you could be looking at fines up to 5 million Philippine pesos.
And that's just the money part. You could also be facing up to 21 years in prison. I mean, that is a life-changing price to pay for promoting a scam.
So the SEC's final word on this is about as blunt as it gets. They are officially telling the public, do not invest. And if you're already in, stop investing. Right now.
Okay, so we've pulled apart the promise, we've seen how the machine really worked, and we know what the law says about it. So that just leaves one big question for you. Now that you've seen the blueprint for this kind of scam, what's the biggest red flag you're going to watch out for to protect yourself and your money from now on?